going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10. This is part 3 in the final reveal video of this 1442 well built. I like doing stuff like this. This whole 20-hour boat build is something different. It's a challenge. I like a challenge. It's been rough. It's kind of hard on my body. You know, my feet are killing me, but it is what it is, man. I like doing stuff like this, and that's who I am. I never sit down. I never stop. I just keep going. You can expect to see a whole lot more stuff like this on the channel in the future. But I don't have a lot of time left, so I got to get right into this build. I'm going to try to get as much of it done as possible. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish everything he wants done because he wants a full build, and a full build for me is going to take me at least 2 months. So I'm going to squeeze everything I can into tonight and a little bit tomorrow, because Billy's bringing his boat back over here tomorrow, and as soon as his boat gets here, this one's out of here, and I'm going to get right back to finishing up Billy's boat. It's going to get wrapped soon, and I'm hyped. I'm hyped about that build, but I'm still hyped about this. Let's just get into it. We got so much to do tonight. Let's get back to work. All right, so we're gonna pick up right where we left off. I did bring home this faceplate right here to finish this off, and I also have the pan up there that's gonna drop into his electronic panel right here. So I'm gonna get that done in just a minute, but I'm gonna take this floor out of here, and I got some foam. I'm gonna install the foam in these ribs right here, and then get this floor in here installed. That way I have somewhere to sit or stand while I'm working on the rest of the stuff in here. Let's get back to work. All right, so you guys see what I got here. I did have to install this angle right here. It's a piece of 1.5, 1/8 inch angle. I pre-drilled it and then I set it in there. I laid a piece across these ribs right here of the same angle, and I just drew a line underneath the bottom of it. That way I knew the height it had to be at. You probably still see a little bit of a line up there. Maybe. You see it on that side. You see my red marker right there. So what that does is it allows my floor to catch here. Because you see my floor in the backside, I left this raw. I was going to bend that up, but I didn't want to bend it up because then it would have caused a hump in here when he turfs this, and I was going to bend it down, which would have been fine. But the only problem with that is it's very easy to bend these 3 sides. I have a 13-foot die, so that 13-foot die can stick out of here in my press brake, and it's fine to do it that way. If I wanted to bend this side up or down, if I bent it up, I would have to have a top die that's cut to fit inside of here. If I want to bend it down, then I would have to have a bottom die that is fit to be this length right here. I don't want to cut my dies with some stupid little pan like this, so I just bend it like that, and that's perfectly fine because installing that angle actually allows me a little bit of play either way. And then I'm going to come back and shoot rivets through here, 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 and here. Now you see how I put this foam in here? I wanted to get some 1.5 inch foam because I have some 1/2 inch and some 1 inch foam already, but this was more 1 inch foam, and I just stacked it in here as 2 pieces. And it pretty much works out perfectly. There is still a small gap in the center section right here because the boat V's down a little bit, but it's tight up here. I mean, it's like damn near perfect with these ribs. So this is exactly what I wanted to happen with this. So this is going to be perfect. That gives a lot of flotation. I mean, you see that was a 4x8 sheet, and we probably only got like maybe a 3x4 foot piece left. So we probably put 2/3 of the sheet in there. And I'm going to put the rest of this around this live well and in these side compartments right here. So it's going to have a lot of foam in this thing. Now I'm going to get this floor in here, figure out exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to rivet that down, and we'll get on to something else. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got the floor installed. It's pretty simple. I mean, this thing is in here forever. It is not coming out of here. I put 12 rivets in here across these ribs and 2 up into these existing pieces I put on the vertical ups. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this live well with foam, and then I'm going to wrap that with some of this HVAC tape and get this thing insulated so it's ready to go. Then I'm going to put these face panels and these side panels on here. We'll move on to something else. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got this live well insulated and I got it wrapped with this HVAC tape. Now, a lot of you guys are like, why is he using HVAC tape? Well, this is what HVAC tape is made for. It's made to keep the heat out. And we want to keep this live well cool so your fish stay alive. I wrap this thing on 3 sides, on the face, the side over here, and on this back side. I'm going to come back and sheet this with a sheet of aluminum. And this is going to be enclosed inside of this panel right here. You're never going to see that. I'm going to enclose this side with some aluminum too. That side I didn't put any insulation or tape on. I'm going to leave that open. I got to put the pumps and stuff in there. I'm going to do that in just a minute. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and install the rivets into this faceplate right here. I'm going to make this thing permanent. Then I'm going to start working on this electrical panel hatch over here. I need to weld some little tabs on the back side of the hatch that actually drops in on the frame. That way the pan that sits in there has something that will catch it, and I can put some screws into that. Then I'm going to install his switch panel and his fuse block in there and cut the holes and stuff for that. Just get that all mocked up and ready to go. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, you see what we got. This is our electrical panel hatch right here. This is very simple and it's very effective. This is right up underneath of where his live well is at, and his pumps are going to be underneath here. So this pan is important because this pan allows you to get access to them. This piece in here can be removed, and you can get down inside of here and you have pumps down here for the live well and hoses in case you need to mess with that. Plus, you can flip this over, you can get to all the wires on this, change anything you need to change or add anything you want to add. So obviously these aren't connected in there, it's just sitting in here, but this is pretty simple. This fuse block, all these fuses across here, there's 6 of these fuses. I'm going to run those in line with these 6 switches right here. All the ones on this side, those are just going to be extras, and all his negative wires are going to come into here. The way this fuse block works is it has a positive and a negative. This is the negative right here, this big bolt. Positives on the other side. Those run from your battery. Then the rest of your stuff from here runs to your switches and to your accessories. Makes it really simple. These holes that I've got in here, they got 3 here and 3 on the other side. Those are going to be for the wires. Now, and obviously we got 6 fuses coming off of each side. It's a 12 gang fuse panel, but we're going to double up. These 2 wires are going to come through this hole. These 2 are going to come through that hole, and so on and so forth. That way we don't have to have a bunch of holes. If you put them where they line up, you know, to where the hole is right in the center of the 2, it's real easy to run the wires through there. And I do have grommets for those. Those grommets are stupid cheap. I put 3/8 grommets in these, and I'm going to make these bigger. I'm going to make this one probably about a 1/2 inch or 3/4, probably 1/2 inch, because we only have 1 power cable coming into here. And then this other side, though, that one is going to have to be probably at least a 1 inch, because we got to run all of our negatives that are coming in here. Now, the only thing I'm going to be hooking up is the 2 pumps for the live well, but he's got to have a lot of other stuff going in here, like nav lights, maybe some compartment lights, fish finders, anything like that. So he needs to have a big enough hole here that could run probably 15, 20 ground wires into here. So I'm going to put a grommet in that hole and on this hole over here too. So all these holes have grommets in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get these pumps installed up underneath of this compartment right here for the live well. I'm going to have one that goes into the bottom of the live well and comes up to the top to recirculate. Then I'm going to have another one that goes through the hole and then up to the top of the live well. That will be our main fill in. I'm going to go ahead and get these pumps in here. Then we're going to hook up the wires to this switch panel right here. Let's get back to work. All right, so you can see what I just did. He's got his aerator sprayer up top, and down here, this is the back of the pump. It's got a strainer on it. This is going to be his recirculate pump. It's very simple. Comes in here, sucks it up from here. So it's just making a circle over here, moving this water. See on the back side, there's his aerator sprayer hose hooked up right down to the pump. That'll be easy access once he removes his pan. If he wants to get in here, change his cartridge out. I don't have the cartridge in here yet. I'm going to put that in a minute. Now, if he wanted to go with this flow right valve, it's very simple. See inside of here? This one is open right now. If you pull this out, see that plunger right there? What it's doing right now is when it's out, this one is engaging. When you push it in, it will engage this back one. So we could replace the piece that's in there with this, and when you pull that out, it would basically pump the water from here, and we run it from the second one out the side of the hull. I might put one of these flow right valves in there yet. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this. He's coming over here now to check it out, and I'm going to ask him about this. But if he wants to put that in there, it's not that much more work. I don't have these hose clips like for the flow right system. These like snap on, but I really don't trust those anyways. I'm going to be using this regular 3/4 inch hose like I got on this one, and I'll put stainless steel hose clamps over all these fittings if he wants to go this route. I'm going to go ahead and drill my hole in the side of the hole. I'm just going to house this 90-degree pump. I'm going to stick right over here, and the hose from that is just going to run right up to another one of these aerator sprayers like we got on this side right here. That's going to be his main fill. Let's get back to work. All right, so you can see what we got here. This pump is going to be our main fill pump. This is going to come from outside of the hole. It's going to pump water in and up into this aerator right here. That aerator is in this corner right here. Our other pump and our recirculator is over here. Now, the guy did just stop by, and he does want to put this flow right valve in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this one. You know, I got to put these in with 5200 anyways. This is just kind of staged up here. I'm going to remove that one, and I'm going to put this one in there. And then what I'm going to do is just hook this hose right to this close one, outside one. I'm just going to run another hose right out to the outside of the hole. Pretty simple. I'm going to get that done. Go ahead and put all the hose clamps on here and put the sealant on these to make sure that everything is finished up and let that dry. Then I'm going to get on to the switch panel. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I'm going to take all of these red jumper cables off here, and then I'm going to show you how to hook these up. It's pretty simple. Each one of these switches will be ran to its own fuse right here in line on this fuse block. Let's get back to work. All right, so the live well is done. Turned out really good. Got my screen in there, the flow right valve, and my fill aerator right here. All my pumps hooked up, hoses, everything's installed with stainless steel hose clamps. Nice and neat. Got some sealant on them. This one runs right out to the through hole fitting. And that is how the flow right system works. When you pull the valve in and out, it either diverts it from here or to here. So it sucks from the bottom, but it's either going to come up and spray into the live well, or if you pull it out, it's going to come up and come right out of here and go right out of this fitting right here, spray right out that hole right there. You can fill up your bag at the end of the day at the tournament, or if it's just really hot out there and that water is getting hot, you can dump it out real quick and fill it up with fresh water at the same time. Looks good. Now I'm gonna work on these switches. When I'm doing stuff like this, I like to listen to some reggae, listen to some Stick Figure, some Revolution, all kinds of reggae. It's just, you know, chill music, because I'm gonna be doing a lot of repetitive stuff, and it just kind of mellows me out. I'm gonna get these clips off the back of these and get these things hooked back up with some new jumper cables. I'll explain everything to you all in a minute. Let's get back to work. All right, so if you want to use one of these switch panels, these things are perfectly fine. The black wires, the negative wires, are fine to leave them jump across all of them. But these red ones, they're not going to work. They are going to have to come off, because the way this is wired, it's wired to set a positive cable coming in. And if you do that or run this to a fuse, then one fuse is going to control all these the way they're jumped. So I'm going to remove all of these red cables, and then I'm going to show you how to hook them back up on there. These are tricky. Now, a lot of these have these little safety pins on them. So right here, this one I already removed, so we can pull that one off easily. Just using this little electrical tester right here, because right in here, there's a pin. See that little pin right there, that thing? You push that little pin in, it'll slide right off. See how that works? Let's do this one right here. It's out and open. There's a pin right there. Push it in, slide them off. And what that has is like a little catch inside of there that catches on that hole right there on this little spade. So you got to make sure you remove those. If you don't, what will happen is it'll end up pulling these out of the back of the switch, and it's hit or miss if it's going to work after that. I'm going to take all these off here, and then I'm going to explain to you how I hook them back up. Let's get back to work. All right, now that we've got all of these red jumper wires right here taken off, I'm going to explain to you how this works. So you see right here, we have 3 prongs. This one on the right-hand side is the same on all of these. It's just a jumper wire. It gives these switches the lights. It has LED lights in them, and when you hook these up, they will stay lit up. Now, we're going to use this same run right here, and we're just going to jump from this bottom right spade connector all the way down these. Then we're going to connect this wire right here to another switch, which is basically going to just turn on these LED lights. If you run this directly into the fuse panel and you don't have the fuse panel with a breaker or something to turn it off, those lights will always stay on. So that leaves us these 2 spades on the left right here. Now this is very simple. When the switch is off, it does not make the connection between these 2 prongs. When it is on, it does. And this top one is going to be your power in, and this bottom one is going to be your power out. So the power is going to come from the fuse block. So you're going to hook it up with one of these fuses right here. It has these little screws down the side over here. It's gonna run over to here and it's gonna hook right into this middle spade connector. I'm gonna make a diagram and I'll try to put it up on the screen so you can screenshot it, but it's very simple. You got your power in, fuse block runs to here. This is gonna be your power from the accessory. So we're getting ready to hook up these pumps right here. It's got a black and a red wire. So the red wire coming off that pump is going right into this bottom left corner one right here. Then I'm gonna hook the black one into one of these screws right here, which is for his bus bar. Pretty simple. You're welcome. Let's get back to work. All right, so you can see the setup. This thing is gonna be sick. I have not installed this switch panel or the fuse block yet. I need to do that before I start running wires in here. And before I do that, I'd like to paint this thing. So I did stick these grommets in here. I went ahead and drilled a hole for all these grommets. This one I made it 1.25 inches. This is a 1 inch, and these are 3/8 of an inch. Now, I'm gonna take these out and paint this whole thing, and then I'm going to screw this fuse block in here. Then I'm gonna screw the switch panel in. Then I'll start running all these wires. But if I don't paint this thing now, it's not gonna get painted, and I don't just wanna leave it raw aluminum. It'll take me about 10 minutes to spray this thing, and I'll let it sit out here and dry, and then we'll get right back to it. So let's get that done. Let's get back to work. So as you see, I got the heater. I got this thing baking on this pan. I'm trying to get this thing to dry. It's literally snow flurries outside right now. 2 days ago, it was 70 degrees. Insane. That's that VA weather for you. But why this is sitting up here drying, there's one other thing I want to do to this boat. Let me show you. Go figure. Look on the transom. We have a plastic transom transducer mount up here, and it's screwed into the bottom of this boat. Now, luckily, there's no other holes in here or anything like that. But this thing has got to go. I can't leave this on here. It's ugly and it's old, so he's not going to use it for one. And for two, when he puts the new one on here, he's going to have these holes in here. So I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to weld up those holes. Then I'm going to take this piece right here. This is my transducer puck. It's just a piece of 1x3 by 1/8 inch aluminum rectangular tube. I'm going to weld this up here for him. That way he can hook up his new transducer and he won't have to put any holes in the boat. Pretty simple. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got that transducer transom puck installed. That's going to save him a lot of trouble in the future. Now, I did have to go ahead and throw a second coat of paint onto this pan over here. It's sitting up in front of the heater. I'm trying to bake that thing on. One coat just wasn't quite enough. There is something else I want to do to this boat. There's got to wrap up these last minute things. Now, this back storage compartment, this thing is huge. Look how big this thing is. It's got a lot of room inside of there. I mean, it's going to be sweet. He needs some battery trays in there. Now, he's probably going to upgrade to some lithium batteries at a later date, but right now he has some big Group 31 batteries or something. So those batteries are 13 inches by 7 inches. That's the pans I need to make. Now, I tried to call him on Friday when I was leaving work and ask him what size batteries he had, but I didn't hear back from him. I'd already had these pans cut. I was hoping that he was going to have up to Group 27s, but these are made for Group 27s. They're not going to fit his batteries. The only difference is there's an inch on the length of them. So what I was going to do is just cut out these corners and bend this thing up. I'm going to bend it next door with my dad's handbrake. I did get a sweet little 3-foot finger brake. I'm trying to bring that thing over here. I'm probably going to put it right over there where that stupid desk is at because I don't need that in here. And it would definitely be sweet to have a little finger brake over there. So that's going to be happening very shortly. But this pan right here, I'm just going to modify it. There's no reason I can't because I'll just cut down on this side right here. This is going to be the one that's going to butt up against the vertical wall inside of the back bench seat. And it already has the vertical wall back there. So the battery is not going to be able to go anywhere on the back side. I'll still leave the other 3 sides at 1.5 inches. It's only going to have a 1/2 inch lip on this side right here. It's not going to make much of a difference at all. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back on the time lapse. I'm going to get this done. Let's get back to work. I got these two pans bent up. After I cut the corners, I went next door to my dad's garage and bent them up in his finger brake. Now, while I was over there, you might have had a little sneak peek of Billy's boat. The thing's sitting over there chilling, completely painted. My God, it is sick. I don't know how good your pause game is, but you probably had a lot of practice watching all those TikTok models. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and put this pan inside of this floor down here. I'm gonna weld it down to the floor in like 4 spots. Then I'm gonna get up onto this front deck, try to finish up this wiring because we are running out of time. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got his battery tray installed. Pretty simple. This weld right here, I did normal, but this one and the one in that back corner over there, I did southpaw. Not too bad for switching it up. I bet your welding instructor didn't teach you that little trick. All right, let's go get that pan over there and install this thing up here. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got our switch panel hatch finished up. I installed the fuse block and the switch panel, and I painted this a metallic oil rub bronze, so I had some extra cans of that. Turned out pretty good. I mean, I'm no Billy Elliot, but it's gonna be fine. Now, you see how I got these two coming in here? These are my 2 negative wires that are coming off my 2 pumps, and these right here are my 2 positive wires that are coming from here, going into these first 2 switches. This first switch is for the main pump for the fill, and the second one is to recirculate or the pump out with the flow right system. Let's pull this out of here and I'll show you how easy this is. Very simple. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to come back and clean all this up later once he gets all the rest of his wires in here, but 2 negatives going into the bus bar. These are coming out of these fuses in here. 2 of these coming out of this first hole going into the first 2 switches. And then these are our pumps. Bottom left-hand corner is the electrical out. When the switch is turned on, this one is live. Very simple. Now he can come back and run a wire from this middle one back to this next fuse, from that middle one next to the next fuse, and so on and so forth, and all his accessory ports will be hooked right into here. All those negatives will run right through this hole, right into the bus bar, just like these do. This is very, very simple. A lot of people get mind blown by this electrical and it's just too much for them to handle, but it's really not that hard. Watch this video a couple times if you have to. You can do this. I have faith in you. Nice and clean. All right, so last couple things I'm going to do, get these side panels installed, and I'm going to shoot some cup holders in here. Before I put those side panels on, I like to drill the holes and sink these in there. I have so many of these cup holders, and it just makes so much sense to put them in here. I think they look sick, and it's going to give them a perfect place to hold his drink. So I'm going to get this hole saw set up, cut these holes in here, I'm going to pre-drill these 2 side panels, and I'm going to get them screwed in there. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so I got the boat finished. Now, we kind of changed the plan up a little bit. I was supposed to just do all of the metal work. Now, that was the original goal, was to get all this metal work put in here. But I got into it and I realized that there were certain things that I just needed to do, and there were certain things I was just going to have to kick. Now, what I needed to do was get this live well finished up. Originally, I wasn't going to run all these pumps and hoses and the electrical. I wasn't even going to do an electrical panel hatch in here, but he needs this. This is very important. This is going to allow him to have access to all those pumps. All those electrical switches and everything is going to be nice and neat, and that's going to be a huge help to him down the road. Now, what I had to kick was this back deck transom area. I originally was going to build this out and have a big hatch in here, but I just didn't have time to do that. And this is something I can do easily. I can come back and throw this in here in a day. I mean, I can probably do all this in about 5 hours. So that's going to be something we're going to come back to. Now, I did not build all of the pans for the lids for all these hatches. I told him originally that those hatch frames were going to be built just like this. Then I was going to come back and build those pans and finish off those hatches, installing the hinges and stuff on them later on this week, and I'll get them back to him. You're going to see this boat on the channel again. I am 100% sure of it. He's going to take it as it is. He's going to try to hook up some more of his wires, and he's going to get his foot pedal tray, his trolling motor, everything ready to go. He's going to bring it back. I'm going to have to do that back deck, and I'm definitely going to do his recessed foot pedal tray for him because these things need to be supported. I'm going to have to weld some brackets going down to the ribs in here, and he needs me to weld a bracket up here to mount his trolling motor on. And at that time, I'm going to fix up a bunch of these holes and stuff. But in the meantime, there's a lot of stuff he can do to this. He can paint the entire boat and do whatever he wants to with the color scheme. He can figure out what type of turf he wants to get. He can run all the electrical for all of his fish finders and LED lights, anything else he's going to put in here. Now, I did go over my 20-hour time limit. It wasn't terrible, but I'm probably about 5 or 6 hours over it. But to get all of this done in about 25 hours, I mean, the entire front deck, floor, side panels, rear bench seat cut out, it's a lot of work. And I'm happy with the way everything's turned out. This is going to be a sweet little rig. This thing's probably going to be fast as hell, considering it's only a 1442. I mean, this would be like the perfect solo man rig. If you wanted to fish one of these John boat tournaments solo, this would be the boat I would recommend that you get. He's on his way over here very shortly to pick this thing up, and I'm going to pull Billy's boat in the garage, and I'm going to start working on that. You can expect to see Billy's boat pick up next week with a new video. That paint job that's on there is insane, and I'm going to be doing the same thing that I did right here with this live well, hooking up all his plumbing, getting his electronics and all that stuff done, and it actually works out well because I did this one, and now it's fresh in my head. I'm going to do it all over again. Billy's a lot more intricate than this, but it's very, very similar, just like all the boat builds are. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button. Let me know what you think about this. You're going to be seeing a lot more of these challenges and quick builds on the channel because I like doing this type of stuff. It's cool. I'll see you guys next time. I got to get back to work. All right, guys, so 2 things I forgot to mention. The first thing, the guy who owns this boat actually won my first ever Trick 10s charity tournament that we put on this summer. How cool is that? He won, and now he's actually going to have his own Trick 10. Pretty exciting. I'm going to help him out with this thing as much as I can, not just because he won that tournament, but because he's local, he's a cool cat, and on top of that, he fishes with his son. And that is what it's all about to me. Number 2. Everybody's been asking about merchandise. The channel's growing. People want to rock the hats, the sweatshirts. I appreciate that, man. That is awesome. It really means a lot that you guys want to help support me. So I have merchandise on the way. I've been talking with a couple companies. I'm looking at pricing all these sweatshirts and hoodies. I don't want to give you guys something that's going to be, $50 for a hoodie. I'm trying to make it affordable. I'm not trying to get rich off of merchandise. Merchandise is what helps me grow. So I'm going to come to you guys with some cheap prices on some good stuff. I just got to get it all figured out. I just wanted to let you guys know that it's in the works, and I really appreciate each and every one of y'all that's interested in merchandise. I got to get back to work though. I'll see y'all next time.